Here are today's top stories. Voters voice out problems they encounter as they flock to polling precincts for the midterm elections. The new chief of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines vows to look into the group's involvement with alias Bikoy. Senator Pimentel complains to Comelec about its supposed defective vote counting machines. And President Duterte's cabinet joins the rest of the country in lining up to cast their votes.
Good day, I'm Rom Dulfo. Join us in the comprehensive coverage of PNA Hatol ng Bayan, the 2019 midterm elections here at the PNA Newsroom. Our top story, millions of Filipinos flocked to polling precincts early in the morning today to cast their votes in this year's midterm elections. The PNA met with some of these voters who opened to us their experiences and issues they encountered. Here is our report.
Batasan Hills National High School has 25 clustered precincts with 5 precincts each, catering to about 23,000 voters. Thousands lined up early in the morning to finish voting early. But some voters who spoke to the PNA had encountered problems as they cast their votes. Hundreds of senior citizens were lining up for too long and made to wait in small classrooms as the line grew longer. Some noticed that cell phone signals were weak, while a few could not find their names. In one precinct, a vote counting machine refused to take in ballots.
Yung BEI na tinanong ko doon, sabi niya, pasensya na kayo kasi yung machine hindi kumakain. Siguro busog. Yung mga tao naghihintay. Sana naman madagdagan nga yung machine kasi yung machine
One resident who had been actively voting in the previous elections found out only today that her records were lost and she had been transferred to Bulacan.
Last election na barangay, 2018, nakapag-vote pa ako dito sa barangay na to. And then ngayon, biglang nawala yung name ko. Tapos I found out na wala na daw record. Nag-transfer daw ako. Ang problema, never naman ako nag-transfer. Every election date or month or any presidential, kung ano man election, lagi kaming present. Then sabi niya, no record daw, na bumoto ako ng presidential and barangay. Yung mga cousins ko rin, wala rin silang record, no record na. Mother ko na lang yung natira.
Saan daw kayo nalipat?
Ako, Bulacan.
Teachers and volunteers from Comelec and PPCRV were on standby to guide voters and handle peace and order. They assured that all election-related issues are promptly looked into.
Ginagawa naman po natin, pagka-shade naman po nila dun sa balota, pasok nila dun sa machine, tuloy-tuloy naman po siya. Wala namang ganong problema po. Nababagalan lang siguro sila dahil sa dami pong botante. May isa nga po tayong kaso kanina, meron pangalan siya, nandoon nga, pero may nakatatak po dun sa record ng, sa tapat ng pangalan niya, sa record ng Comelec na not allowed. Kaya hindi rin namin paboto. Pinapupunta na lang po namin sa Comelec makipag-usap bakit may not allowed po na nakatatak do sa pangalan po nila.
For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
At this point, let's check out the partial unofficial tally of the senatorial race in the 2019 midterm elections. President Rodrigo Duterte cast his vote for the midterm elections this afternoon in Davao City. President Duterte went to the Daniel R. Aguinaldo National High School and signed the wooden classroom chair on which he cast his vote in the 2016 presidential elections. President Duterte warned that vote buyers shall be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law once they're caught. On the issue of faulty vote count machines, the president has left the Comelec to explain first several reports of malfunctioning machines. Meanwhile, the president also said the list of personalities plotting to oust him is true, referring to the matrix released by his spokesperson, Salvador Panelo. He also took a swipe at the Communist Party of the Philippines. During the PDP Laban meeting de Avance in Pasig City on Saturday, the president earlier urged Filipinos not to miss their chance to vote and help shape the country's future. In other news, former Vice President and congressional candidate Jejomar Binay expressed his dismay after his ballot was rejected while he was voting this morning. Binay, who is running as congressman for the 1st District of Makati, complained that his ballot was rejected 8 times by the vote counting machine. Binay went to the National Board of Canvassers headquarters at the Forum of the PICC in Pasay City. Upon their investigation, Comelec spokesperson James Jimenez admits that the problem was with the VCM. Earlier in the day, the Commission on Elections urged voters to report poll-related problems, particularly rejected ballots, to the chairman of the Board of Election Inspectors in the polling centers. More than 300 persons were nabbed for alleged vote-buying activities during police operations in various parts of the country. As of 1 p.m. today, the PNP National Election Monitoring Action Center, or NEMA, has recorded a total of 120 vote-buying incidents, with 302 violators, with 920 have been apprehended. It also recorded a total of 43 election-related incidents and 374 incidents of liquor ban violations. PNP Chief General Oscar Albayalde said the opening hours of balloting in the country's more than 36,830 voting centers turned out to be relatively peaceful and could very well describe the orderly outcome of Election Day. Still to come, the new chief of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, or IBP, vows to look into the group's involvement with alias Bikoy. Authorities bust vote-buying activities in Pangasinan, Negros Occidental, and Mindanao. More on this when the PNA Newsroom continues.
The Environment, Tourism and Interior Departments recommended to close Boracay for 6 months.
To address issues such as illegal structures and faulty drainage systems that is affecting Boracay's prized beach.
The last time na nandito is 2017. It's actually crowded. Sobrang dami ng tao. Everywhere, makikita mo talaga bars and drinks and masamahalat talaga.
We had more cases of skin disease. We had more cases of diarrhea.
So nagkasama-sama lahat ng mga agencies, tiningnan ano ba ang plano natin sa Boracay, compliance on Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, at saka yung ating environmental compliance.
When they started demolishing, we saw that there was action, that they put their money where their mouth is.
Lahat ng nagamit na tubig ng customer, we collect it through our sewer lines, and then it goes through a treatment process sa treatment plant.
It was nice that it happened. Finally, Boracay got the attention it is in deep need of.
I think a lot of work was done during the closure. The water is clear, the oceans are clean, there seems to be a lot of wildlife returning. We had for the first time in 10 years, we had turtles hatching on the beach a couple of days ago.
During the closure, you could see like the eagles came back and everything that we have had for a long time.
Pumasyal pa nga yung mga kwan dito udanding, galing ho ng Cebu.
In the end, it's a good thing, yes. It was hard for us, but it was also a wake-up call.
The beach was cleaned up and is officially set to reopen on October 26th.
Wala nang kumakain sa beach, bawal nang manigarilyo.
Gumanda yung isla namin as in bumalik sa dati na ambience.
We teach kids about pollution, solid waste management, because they're the ones who will sustain all the things that we're doing now.
In other news, the new national president of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines vowed a full investigation on the fiasco over the organization's involvement with Peter Jomel Advincula alias Bikoy. Lawyer Domingo Ayon Cayosa assures that they would look into the circumstances of the press conference conducted by Advincula in their headquarters in Pasig City last week. Cayosa and his predecessor, lawyer Abdiel Dan Elijah Fajardo, are facing a disbarment case filed by Kabalikat Party List for allowing Advincula to use the IBP office to publicly accuse members of the First Family and allies of President Duterte of involvement in the illegal drug trade. Solicitor General Jose Calida earlier called for the resignation of Fajardo as IBP head. Two explosions rocked parts of Datu Odin Sinsuat in Maguindanao on Election Day. A powerful blast from a grenade hit the town hall around 1 a.m., several hours before the distribution of election materials. Nobody was hurt in the blast. Datu Odin Sinsuat Town Police Chief Sabri Lakibo said CCTV captured two men on a motorbike tossing what looked like a hand grenade and sped away. A second blast hit 20 meters away from the town hall some 6 hours later. Lakibo said the explosions simply intend to sow fear among voters due to intense political rivalries among several political families in the area. He adds, elections around town continued uninterrupted despite the two incidents. Two successive blasts rocked a grassy area just outside the back fence of the City Hall in Cotabato City Sunday night. A 40mm grenade ripped through a children's park outside the City Hall in Barangay Mother Rosary Heights, Cotabato City around 10 p.m. on Sunday. Another explosion occurred at around 1 a.m. Monday near the Municipal Hall in Datu Odin Sinsuat, Maguindanao. Earlier, the Commission on Elections declared the entire island of Maguindanao as an election hotspot. Authorities in the provinces reported today numerous incidents of vote buying in the hours leading to the midterm elections. In Pangasinan, the Aguilar Police and the NBI in Dagupan City arrested 4 persons for alleged vote buying at Barangay Buer on Sunday. 3 Buer barangay officials, including the barangay captain and 2 barangay councilmen, were invited for questioning. Some 443,000 pesos and election paraphernalia were confiscated. In Negros Occidental, police arrested 30 suspected vote buyers in Moises Padilla town before midnight Sunday. 600 sample ballots, including 12 more folded along with 2 500-peso bills, were seized from the suspects. In EB Magalona town, police also arrested 2 persons on board a motorcycle possessing envelopes containing sample ballots and cash in Barangay Tuburan. Police recovered brown envelopes, each containing a sample ballot and about 127,000 pesos. Meanwhile, government troops recovered 1 million pesos abandoned by political supporters engaged in vote buying in Barangay Dipawak, Dumingag, Zamboanga del Sur. 5 political supporters allegedly involved in vote buying activity were also arrested in a separate operation in Barangay Bualan, Tubod, Lanao del Norte. Up next, Senator Pimentel complains to Comelec about its supposed defective vote counting machines. President Duterte's cabinet joined the rest of the country in lining up to cast their votes. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Oras po ngayon ay 4 na minuto bago mag-alas 6 ng umaga. Pwede na kami pumasok by 6 o'clock. So far, di ko pa nakikita yung pangalan ko. Baka matsambahan dito sa 0455C or 055B. Unahin natin yung B. Bingo! Number 13. Andanar. Ito na nga. So, ang aking presinto, 0455B. Clustered Precinct 268. Dito sa Pedro E. Diaz High School sa Muntinlupa. Alam nyo, meron pong 61 million registered voters sa buong Pilipinas ngayong eleksyon na ito. Dito sa Muntinlupa, nasa mga 300
1,000 plus ang registered voters. Pero ayon sa datos, for the last 3 years, ang average voters po ay nasa 78%. So yun ang inaasahan nating boboto ngayong 2019 elections. This is Secretary Martin Andanar, and you're watching.
Senator Pimentel slammed today the Comelec amid several reports of defective vote counting machines that caused delay in the voting process nationwide. Pimentel particularly cited that 16 out of 50 barangays in the Pitan city have faulty machines and SD cards. He questioned why the Comelec reported that all VCMs passed the diagnostic tests. For its part, the Comelec said there was no need to extend voting hours despite issues in polling precincts. Around 85,000 VCMs in the same number of clustered precincts all over the country were utilized in the May 13 pause. Quezon City 1st District Representative and Mayoral Bet Bingbong Crisologo was released from detention this afternoon after being arrested for involvement in vote buying. Crisologo and his son, Edrix, were released around 2 p.m. at Camp Karingal, less than 24 hours since their arrests for obstruction of justice. He then cast his vote at the Heroes Hill Community Chapel at Barangay Santa Cruz, Quezon City. Edrix also showed the media a copy of the court resolution on their release. The Comelec said Crisologo remains a candidate in the city's mayoralty race despite his arrest. Comelec clarifies that an investigation will still be conducted on the allegations against Crisologo. Crisologo was arrested after he supposedly prevented police officers from arresting his supporters who were allegedly engaged in vote buying.
In the course of the warrantless arrest against Vincent Bingbong Crisologo, Frederick William Crisologo, Arturo de los Reyes, and Edwin Rodriguez Deirit allegedly committed the charges against him, as well as the recovery of pieces of evidence. In this case, a scrutiny of the joint affidavit of arrest, as well as the pieces of evidence presented, failed to justify the in flagrante delicto arrest of the respondents. There are also other charges that were filed against us. And as to those, the circumstances surrounding the incident and the exact participation of each of the respondents have to be threshed out more thoroughly in a full-blown preliminary investigation. So nag-issue po ng release order ang Office of the City Prosecutor. It commanded the Station Commander of Criminal Investigation and Detection Unit sa Catuna Village, Quezon City to release the respondents unless they are detained for other causes that would warrant their continued detention.
President Duterte's cabinet took the time to set examples to the voting public to participate in the midterm elections today. Various personalities also grabbed attention as they cast their votes. Here is our report.
Members of President Rodrigo Duterte's cabinet were among the over 60 million Filipinos who cast their votes during Monday's midterm national and local elections. Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanar was among the first to vote at 6:30 a.m. at the Pedro E. Diaz High School in Alabang, Muntinlupa City. Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles cast his vote at the Palma Hill Elementary School in Davao City with his wife Marga Maceda Montemayor. After initially having difficulty finding his name on the voters list, presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo cast his vote at the Capitan Moy Elementary School in Marikina Heights, Marikina. Meanwhile, former Senator Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Irene Marcos Araneta cast their votes at the Mariano Marcos Elementary School in the morning. Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio also cast her vote at the Daniel R. Aguinaldo National High School. Former PNP and Bureau of Corrections Chief and now senatorial candidate Ronald Bato de la Rosa voted in his precinct in Barangay Bato, Santa Cruz, Davao del Sur. Senatorial candidate Bongo cast his vote at the Buhangin Central Elementary School in Davao City. Re-electionist Senator Sani Angara and his wife Tutsi cast their votes at the Suklayin Elementary School in Baler, Aurora after 2.5 hours of waiting. Former Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, who is running for congressman in the 1st District of Taguig City, cast his ballot at the CP Santa Teresa Elementary School in Bagong Bayan, Taguig City. Meanwhile, Quezon City Mayoralty candidate Joy Belmonte cast her vote at the Christ the King Seminary in Quezon City and immediately left. In other poll precincts, actor and congressional candidate Edu Manzano and Senator J.V. Ejercito cast their votes at the Xavier School in San Juan City. San Juan City Mayor Gia Gomez, San Juan City Vice Mayor and Mayoralty candidate Janela Estrada, and former Senator Jinggoy Estrada cast their votes at the Xavier School in Barangay Little Baguio. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
Let's take another look at today's biggest stories.
Voters voice out problems they encounter as they flock to polling precincts for the midterm elections. The new chief of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines vows to look into the group's involvement with alias Bikoy. Senator Coco Pimentel complains to Comelec about its supposed defective vote counting machines. And President Duterte's cabinet joins the rest of the country in lining up to cast their votes.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags on all our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Rom Dulfo. Good day.